What's good, King Gonda? It's your boy O'Shea Duke Jackson. Back at it again with another collaboration here on the YouTube channel. I really appreciate all the brothers and sisters for supporting the channel. Make sure you subscribe, hit the bell if you're new. And today we got a brother that reached out to us on the King Gonda Instagram, and the brother had a very heartwarming message. And I checked out his YouTube channel, and we have a very talented brother who's been to over 15 African countries. Brother by the name of Taye Uhuru. Welcome to the channel, brother. Go ahead and explain, what you do as far as content creating and just on the continent.
Oh, okay. Yeah, like you said, I've been to 15 African countries. I mean, I really just want to clear up a lot of misconceptions that people have about Africa. That's the main thing.
Okay, cool, man. I thank you for reaching out. Um, Now you've been to a lot of countries. You were talking about just in general. You've been to 60 countries worldwide, and on the continent of Africa, you've been to 15. When did you first started, or when did you have the bug to want to travel to the continent in the first place?
Um, I always admired African people and African history, so I always wanted to go. So I got my passport in like 2010,
Okay,
but I didn't make it to Africa till about 2014. The first place I went was no, 2013. I can't remember. It's been about at least 8 years. But the
okay.
first place I went was to South Africa because I actually knew somebody there and they invited me. And then when I went, man, I was blown away. Before I went, I was thinking the words like I might get kidnapped for ransom or shot or. But then when I got to Cape Town, I'm like, oh man, it was just such an amazing experience, man. The people were so friendly. I just couldn't believe it. It changed my life.
Now let me ask you this. You are an African American brother, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay,
I'm from
so
Cleveland.
from Cleveland, right? The
Cleveland.
216. Shout out to Bone Thugs and Harmony. So
Mhm,
shout out to all our people out there in the Midwest. So you were a brother from Cleveland. You got your passport in 2010, but
mhm.
it took you like 3 years to go to the continent, and that
Yep.
was because you heard these things may happen to you. Was that what's stopping you from going to Africa in the first place?
Well, initially, I took my first trip. I went to the Netherlands. I went to Amsterdam, and I
Okay.
went because I knew somebody there. So I just really started going to places where I knew people at first. I was gonna go to Africa, but just being honest, because back then it wasn't as much content on YouTube and Google, especially positive content. So you looking up South Africa, they showing you a bunch of negative stuff. So I was gonna go regardless, but I had to be honest and say I was like, I didn't know what was gonna happen.
Okay. And you said that when you first got there in Cape Town, it changed your life. What was the experience about going to South Africa? What about it changed your life?
I mean, the number one thing was I saw malls, I saw streets that was paved, I saw people with nice cars, everybody was friendly, they was kind of like, where you, looking at me, they was like, you look like you from Africa. But once I got to talk to them, they like, oh, you from America? And they was
Mhm.
even more friendlier, like welcome. I was visiting one person, but she was like, my friends, they want to meet you. Then I go over their house and they was friendly. They was cooking for me.
Mhm.
We went out. It was just unbelievable, man. It was so many things, and words really can't even explain, everything that I took in. But it was just a great experience.
What did your family think when you said, I want to go to Cape Town or South Africa? What did they say?
I mean, they was with it. They was like, you should go because I,
Okay.
I have family that have traveled to Africa. You know
Okay.
what I'm saying? So I wasn't the first person in my family to really travel to Africa, but and my family members that did travel to Africa and they came back, they was older than me. You know what I'm
Okay.
saying? They had positive stories, so they didn't come back with no horror stories or nothing like that.
Okay. So after the experience, in Cape Town, because you said you saw roads, you saw that it was, very well developed. Did you think that it wouldn't look like that at first?
Nah, man, I thought it was gonna be looking just toe up, just straight hoods, and they have ghettos and hoods, and you can find that. But
Hmm.
the nice looking things, I didn't expect that, and the beautiful women, like
Oh yeah.
I couldn't believe, like I knew African women was beautiful. You see Africans that come to America. But when you go to South Africa and you see those women, you're gonna fall in love repeatedly. You'll see beautiful women all day, the entire day. And I'm from Cleveland, so I'm like from a small city. You see a beautiful woman here and there, but in South Africa, and is very diverse. Like I said, you'll see a light-skinned black woman, a dark-skinned black woman, brown skin, long hair, nappy hair, short hair, curly hair, straight hair, and they all equally fine, equally beautiful. And these are Africans, so it's like Africans is always supposed to be ugly and primitive looking. These is models. You know what I'm saying?
Right. So it changed your perception because the white media was telling, us that, hey, they're poor, they're suffering, women don't look so good, undeveloped. But when you went there, you said, no, this is not true. This is not what I'm saying. People with nice cars. I actually saw the same thing that you said when I went to, even in Uganda the first time, which is less developed than South Africa. I think I saw more Range Rovers in Kampala than I've ever seen in Warsaw. I was seeing the same people that was balling and everything. I was like, oh, okay. I see you out here. Yeah. So, I was like, okay, he's working with something. Let me ask you this. After you went to South Africa and you came back to the States, where did you go back, or did you go to another African country or just came back to the US?
Just for that trip, I had came straight back. I went to South Africa for maybe like 2 or 3 weeks, and then I came back home.
Okay. Then where did you go again after? Like, what was the next African country that you went to after that?
Oh, the second African country? I'm trying to think. That was like 8 years ago. I think the next, I went back like a year later. I went back to South Africa, and then I started going to Ethiopia. So I believe Ethiopia was my second stop.
Now your expectations, you've been impressed with what South Africa's doing. What was Ethiopia like for you?
Man, Ethiopia was beautiful. The women was beautiful, fine. Like I say, every shade, every body type, they was looking good. But Ethiopia, it wasn't as developed as South Africa. So South Africa was a little bit more, I would say, I guess I don't know if the right term is a little bit more Western looking in some way. They had MTV, BET, so it wasn't like a complete culture shock. But Ethiopia, it's like a whole nother world. But it was beautiful. You know what I'm saying? The people was friendly. I would go in the stores and I just blended in with everybody, and then I would talk to somebody and they were like, "Oh, I thought you was from Ethiopia." And I'm like, "Oh no." They're like, "Oh, your mother's from Ethiopia, right?" And I'm like, "No." You know what I'm saying? They like, "Man, welcome home." And I didn't have no problems at all.
Okay. What about the third country? Do you remember that one?
I'm trying to think. Where did I go out to Ethiopia? It might have been Egypt. I think I went to Egypt and then Kenya.
Okay.
And then I went to a couple islands. I went to Madagascar, Seychelles, Comoros. And I went to Senegal, Cape Verde, Ghana.
Okay. Let's talk about some of the more popular ones because a lot of people like Kenya and Ghana in the space. What were your interpretations of Kenya and Ghana once you went there?
This is the thing. Africa is very diverse. So going from one African country to another African country is like another planet. It's like, just imagine if you come to North America, you go to Canada, then you go to Haiti, then you go to Mexico, then you go to DR, then you go to America. The language is different, the food is different, the people look different, the laws is different, the weather is different. So, Ghana blew me away though, because I went to Ghana for the year return. So it was just like it was just extra because all the celebrities was going. And we had a nice little group of people because the other trips I was going by myself. So when we went to Ghana, it was about 5 or 6 of us, and all of us had a great time.
Let me ask you this because, a lot of black men saw, and you saw the video that I did with Diana Samir, Search for Uhuru, with, why a lot of African American men, pick other countries instead of going to Africa. And you don't really see a lot of content about African American men preferring to go to Africa over other places. And I'm glad that you watched that. But one of the things that a lot of brothers, we want to go somewhere, even if we're going to Dominican Republic, we're going to Brazil or something like that. Sometimes it's kind of hard to get up to travel by yourself. Now, how do you get up for that? As an African American man, you want to go to, to another place by yourself. And sometimes you have a homeboy or somebody, so they're gonna go, and then you're like, well, I'm gonna go by myself. How is it? Is it difficult for you sometimes to be like, you know what, I'm gonna take this trip by myself. I don't know nobody here. I don't know if I know somebody here and what to do, how to get around. How do you get around, getting yourself up for a trip to fly by yourself?
Well, I've been doing it for so long, it's like I'm kind of used to it now because people will disappoint you, let you down, things that happen. So a lot of people they don't want to travel by themselves. But to people that really want to go somewhere, I would recommend just do your research. Now you have more accessible content, especially about Africa. You could look up the crime rate, you could look up the level of safety, you could look up the weather, you could look up the laws, you could look up the vaccinations, you could look up everything that you need. But when I first started traveling, that information wasn't as easily accessible. You know what I'm saying? If you want to
Mhm.
see the world, you just got to, be fearless and step out there. But just do your research. That's the best you can do. You know what I'm saying? And learn
Let me
about the culture before, try to listen to
Right,
some music before you go. Try to
right.
look up the foods they eat. And you might have some restaurants in town. You're going to Ethiopia, maybe an Ethiopian restaurant somewhere.
Hmm.
Try it out and get into the festivities of the place you going, you know what I'm saying? So you can hype yourself up and be like, okay, I know what's going on now.
Right, right. Let me also ask you this, because one of the things that we talk about a lot of times is not only as African Americans, because what I noticed is the African community, they're fed the negative stereotypes about the African American community, and we are fed the negative stereotypes about them. It's poor, malnourished, people are sick, AIDS, and then also, like, the African countries are like extremely violent. Like, you need to really watch your
Mhm.
back. And you're from Cleveland, so I used to live in Compton for a minute, so I done been in places that that had head busters, and it was, you can get shot at any moment, just an innocent bystander. But what was your experience when you got to the continent? Did you feel unsafe at any time? Did you feel in danger?
I feel when I get back home, I'm in that Cleveland state of mind. I got my CCW, so that's how I got to roll in Cleveland, and I feel it. But it is just the American way, you know what I'm saying? Because we see people die from random gun violence all the time, and a lot of African countries, man, they're so peaceful and so safe, and low crime rates, and a lot of them, you will see police that don't even carry guns sometimes. Like they got different levels of rank. Like you may see the average police officer like in Ethiopia, that's the last place I was. Most of the police you would see, they would have a stick, you know what I'm saying,
Hmm.
and maybe some handcuffs or something. And then if it's a violent crime, they'll call a special unit out. So if your
Right.
music too loud or you speeding or something, it's not a situation where they got their hand on their gun and they looking at you like you somebody different from them. You look just like all of the police and everybody else. You know what I'm saying? So
Hmm.
it's twofold. It's the street crime, but then it's the racial pressure and stuff where you like,
I actually saw a video, and that's the video that made me say, you know what, we need to really do this show. And it's when you said in Cape Verde, and maybe we'll play it, but you said, I feel, so you're walking around, and you said, I feel so safe. Like here, I don't know if it was Cape Verde you're saying that, man, I'm walking around, I feel so safe. And you know, it's amazing because we're always told that it's not safe and stuff like that. What would you tell African Americans, or our people, that want to travel to Africa, and they have a some kind of doubt about safety and things like that? Well, what would you tell them?
well, that's where the research come in. You got to do your homework. So the first thing you could look at is the United Nations. Everybody know them. That's a global entity. Every year they rank each country based on the level of violence, based on the level of peace. You know what I'm saying? So it's a lead. It's almost 25 different African countries that are ranked more peaceful than the United States. So I live in Cleveland. You know what I'm saying? Like you say, you've been to Compton. So those cities are far above the national crime average. So you just have to, make that analysis as well. And then another source that you can use, the United States, they have their own website. the United States Department of State and Travel, you can look at each individual's country's crime information, and they'll rank it from level 1 to level 2 to level 3. And there's a lot of African countries that rank at level 1.
Okay, so let me ask you this, because people were saying, for a brother like yourself, and I would assume you're a relatively young man. You've been 15 different countries on the continent of Africa. What country would you do you want to live in? And what advice would you give somebody that, are you thinking about living in Africa full time, or what are your long-term plans with that?
Man, I want to live in Africa forever, full time. You know what I'm saying? But I want to go back as, like an African. I want to get into the culture, the history. I want to be a part of it. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to just, be separate, or, just make money, or just be with women. You know what I'm saying? I feel like I am an African. I, I couldn't imagine nobody telling me that I'm not, but I know my history. You know what I'm saying? So that's a place that I really want to be, you know what I'm saying? And another thing I was gonna add, and you could look this up too, before you go to an African country, the United States, they keep a list of every American that died abroad. So if you look at Dominican Republic and you look at how many Americans died, we love to go there, which I love the DR and it's cool. I used to live there. It's gonna be way more people than Ghana. Like for the year return, almost 1 million people went to Ghana. They said one American died, and they died in an auto accident, and that's usually like the most common way that Americans die when they are abroad. So you can look up
Okay.
that information if you have any doubts.
Yeah, because in the DR, like I know, like in 2019, it was like a week where like
Same year,
10, 20, like 20 Americans died in like 1 week. 10, it was just falling off left and
at
right.
least 10 or 15.
Yeah, it was getting up out of there. And so now that you thinking about going back and living, is there a particular country that you want to settle in, and why is it going to be this particular country that you want to settle in?
Well, right now I'm still traveling. My goal really is I want to see all of the African countries. There's almost 60 countries in Africa, so I've been to 15. That's
Right.
more than probably 99% of the world I've been to. But I want to at least see all of the sub-Saharan African countries. I want to see all the countries where it's black people at. You know what I'm saying? If it's possible. But right
Okay.
now, I would choose the West Side. I like Cape Verde because, and it depends on what type of lifestyle you want to live. You have to take different things into consideration. I
Right.
want to live in Cape Verde because it's a low population, it's a
Mm-hmm.
low crime rate, it's a low
Mm-hmm.
cost of living, it's hot all year round. They may not even get rain for a whole year. You know what I'm saying? They got beautiful beaches, live music, good seafood. So I just want to be somewhere where I could just relax, and
Mm-hmm.
you know what I'm saying? And they got places where you can grow food and everything. They got good fresh fruit, some of the best fruits you ever had. So that's the place that I want to be. You know what I'm saying? For now.
Okay. Well, for those people, who want to go and earn, maybe, what would be your, what kind of thing would you think about supporting yourself as a strategy? If you want to move back, what do you see yourself doing? How do you see yourself supporting yourself on the continent of Africa as far as making an income?
Well, it like I say, it depends on the person and what you into.
Mm-hmm.
Like for me, I don't know if I mentioned this already. I co-founded a food co-op, so I'm in the food security and agriculture. I would be into that, like, food security. But also, I take groups to Africa. I got group tours. We took people to Ghana, South Africa, took kids, middle school kids, high school kids, college students. I've taken elders to Egypt. So that's something that I love to do and I like to do. So even if I wasn't getting paid, I do it anyway. But now I found a way for me to, I can stay in Africa and travel all around the continent and bring Americans and show them things that they wouldn't see on TV. Even if it's just one or two people, or if it's a group of five, or a group of 6 or 7 or 8.
Mm-hmm.
And it's different ways you can invest in Africa, and you could look at the different countries because there's so many minerals. You might want to get into coffee. You might want to get into cannabis. A lot of African countries have legalized marijuana. You want
Okay.
to get into skincare products, shea butter. or technology, oil, diamonds, platinum, all of that stuff is there.
Okay, let me talk to you about this because obviously people, the pandemic of 2020, really slowed down a lot of plans for a lot of people. Definitely for me. My plans were slowed down a little bit, but now with COVID happening, and a lot of times you need tests getting into out of Africa, going to the different country, traveling within Africa, it's a little tricky as it is.
Hmm.
But with these restrictions, a lot of people are maybe second guessing it, are thinking about doing it. And the passport that we have has not as strong as it used to be because of the restrictions. What would you tell somebody who it's COVID-19 right now, and they're thinking about coming, and now they don't know, and they're thinking about maybe a lot of the opportunities won't be there as it was before? What would you tell somebody who is contemplating on possibly coming back to the continent, and but under the extreme conditions of COVID-19?
Well, I would say it's two things. I don't know how accessible this information is, but America has the highest rate of COVID-19. Africa has some of the lowest rates of COVID-19, so if that's your number one concern, Africa is definitely the place that you would want to be, if you're considering living there or, creating a business. I would, I would say that.
All right. Well, let me, for those people, man, that want to follow you on Instagram, or do you have a YouTube? I know you have a YouTube page, but do you want to promote that page right now for people to subscribe to you or anything like that?
Oh, let me add one more thing. I forgot about the COVID
Yeah, sure.
19. Uh, this is an example I could give you. I was living in South Africa. When I got to South Africa, the American dollar was like $1 American to 15 South African rand, and then during the COVID, it was $1 to 18 South African rand. So the United States dollar was still stronger. So what I'm trying to say, so if my rent was $300 in January, February, and March, you know what I'm saying? My rent was maybe 275 or 250. So it's like this would be probably an even better time for you to invest your money in Africa, invest your time into Africa. But if people want to contact me, I'm on social media. I'm on Facebook, Instagram. I'm on TikTok, and my name is Camp Cleveland. I'm on YouTube too. CampCleveland, and I have a website if anybody interested in visiting Africa, or if they just have any questions. It's campcleveland.org.
Okay, and I'll make sure that we get all of that information out. And brother, I do thank you. You gave a hell of a interview today. Definitely want to have you back. I'm glad that we were able to do this. You gave a lot of good information, especially coming from an African American man that's young. We both traveled to Africa, and I was a person that never thought I was going to go there. And it's good to see that a lot of our brothers out there are saying we see the opportunity, and this is where we want to repatriate to and live. That's where the things are. So I thank you for coming on and sharing your knowledge. And any last words?
Oh man, thank you. I really appreciate you. I know it was last minute, but I am thankful for you for allowing me to just share a little bit of information about the continent on your platform, man. You doing numbers, you doing great, and I salute you, man. Keep up the good work.
All right. So thank you so much, brother. Make sure you guys go and check out all this information. I'll put the Instagram there, the website at the first comment pinned to the top. Reach out to the brother on YouTube and check him out. Hopefully we can have him back on. Everybody make sure to keep it real. King Ganda forever. I'm out.
Peace.